I've looked at hair, adding hair. We've looked at the explosion. Remember those two items? Um, those are examples of particle systems. And I looked up the exact definition. Um, Particle system is a technique uses a large number of very small sprites, 3D models, or other graphic objects to simulate certain kinds of fuzzy phenomena, which are otherwise very hard to reproduce with conventional rendering techniques. Usually, highly chaotic systems, natural or processes with chemicals. Okay. Now, just again, refresh your memory here. For hair, if I drop hair on this, I can start do a space bar. So if you go ahead and do a space bar, you can start typing whatever you want to do. That's a really neat feature because if you don't know quite where something's located at, like I start typing add, and shows me metaball, so forth. Delete. Texture. See, it brings up everything that has texture in it. Anyway, I start typing quick, and you see there's a fur. If you zoom in close, you see it now has a fur. Now, if I click the four little stars here, I see there's a particle system that's been added. It's a specific type called hair. If I do the drop down, you see there's an emitter also. Seed, segments, emission. We got our number of them, then our hair length. So I change that to 2. Makes it come out like that. Now, some of this, they've renamed so it's appropriate to hair length. It means something different when just generally talking about particle system. Number of them here. If I put 3,000, it becomes thicker, doesn't it? So it increases it. Now all the hair is at the same length, isn't it? Let's see, strand render, absolute path time, B-spline. The randomness will oftentimes affect different aspects. It could be how random they are in terms of the density. It could be the randomness based upon how long each one is. If I change this to 0.5. I saw it change, but I don't think my eyes are good enough to see how it changed. You'll find that randomness in other places too. See down here in the children. My nephew married into a family that I think his wife has 7, 8 sisters, and brothers, type of deal. Huge family. Children can really increase. Anybody come from a large family?
I come from a family of
7. Okay. So how about like your aunts, uncles? They have large families?
Like, I have 6 uncles and 1 aunt.
Do they have a lot of kids themselves?
No.
No. Oh. Well, if they did have a lot of kids, then all of a sudden your family get-togethers sudden be 200 people there, right?
Well, it's getting close to it because
Is it?
my family shows up along with their daughters and sons,
Oh.
and if my aunts and uncle's family shows up,
Mm-hmm.
uh, their kids will also show up. So will their kids. So we probably have close to almost 100 people.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Hmm.
70 to 80 because my family, including my nieces and nephews, see, there's 12, 19, including my parents. There's all together, there's 21 of us.
It's quite a few. Now here they have children. Each particle stream, each hair has children goes along with it. So it has 10 children. For render purposes, they have 100 children. So if I change that to 1, for example, really is not that much there, is there? But if each parent has 10 children, put 10 in there, and it becomes much thicker. I've never read the mathematics behind this, but I think it has something to do with efficiency. Instead of saying up here that we're going to have 10,000 parents or 10,000 strands, particle streams, you have one parent particle stream and then you have children that branch off of it. Does that make sense on the children? It's best not to come up here and try to maximize the number up here. Like you come up here and you could put in 40,000.
I accidentally put in 100,000.
Oh, did you? Just now?
I went to go put in 2,000, accidentally put in another zero, and I made an hexagon out of it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, see if I put 10 in there for the number.
Have you already done one?
No, I don't think I ever done one.
That was a little bit sweet.
You know, that is a pretty good, though. Because I changed the randomness, didn't I? But I said I thought I saw it change, but I couldn't say for sure. But if you got 1 there, you see how some of them are longer than others? And that's what it should do. If you change the right randomness place. That obviously isn't it. I always had to play with it to see which randomness change. But again, you have 1 up there. You come down here to your children. Then you put 1,000 in there. And you get that kind of effect. It's only coming up though, isn't it? Why is that? Because where was our original 1 at? On top, right? So if you're trying to achieve that fact where you want all the particles to come up there, then that'd be a really easy way, I suppose. Change that to 1,000. That might have been a mistake. 1,000 times 1,000. What is that? 1 million?
Yeah. Or 2 million.
We'll see if it comes back.
I'll put 100,000 in the whopper.
Okay, I don't got the patience for that then. Let me close that. Close the program. Cancel.
Technically, I was in there too. And then go back 3 years, a little longer.
Yeah, since that was a million. Okay, so I do my space, do my quick fur again. See if there's anything else to mention. Size, velocity, number. This is to get any kind of good luck. I have to go out and steal something off the internet. You know, people that sit here and play with these numbers and figure out the best setting for this or that. Here we can do a curl. There's your hair curling. Let me change the length of that so we can see a little bit better maybe. 0.5. Radial. Wave. Braid. Spiral. As you're working with particle systems, you have to realize that what you're seeing isn't necessarily what's going to render as. So you look at your children, and the render is going to be 10 times as many. So again, they do that just so you can relatively quickly work on this stuff without waiting forever for it to come back. Okay, so I'm going to delete that particle system. Back to the cube. Do my space bar. Quick. You see there's other items here. There's smoke. There's explode. Explode's kind of fun. I think I should. Oops. Let's try that again. Space, quick, explode. If you do Alt A, your cube explodes. Now, it doesn't have a whole lot to work with because it just has a few vertices, sides, and so forth. If you go into Edit, do a tab, you do a W for subdivide, and subdivide a few times. Now you go back to Object, you do an Alt A, and it explodes. Now, if I go back to my 0, that's back to a cube. If I put a plane underneath it, so if I do a create plane, do an S for scale, move it down. Now if you do an Alt A, passes through. So we need a what on the plane? Collision. So collision there. Yeah, I get all this stuff confused. And now if I do it, then you see it starts bouncing but then disappears. Reason why is because particles have a lifetime associated with them. I think the lifetime translated to hair is length. You see this says is 50. That's why they disappear after a period of time. So if you want your particles to stay around longer, you change this to whatever. Maybe 300 for the lifetime of them. Now if I do an Alt A, you'll see your particles will stay around. They won't disappear. Good. I swear this randomness, so they all look different, but 0.5. I don't know, it looked random to me to begin with. Now, see, this says frame number to start emitting particles, frame number to stop emitting particles, jittering amount. If I choose random, let me do an Alt-A. Doesn't look any different to me. But this tells you to emit from what? Emit from your faces, emit from your vertices, volume, so forth. If I change it to volume, see a little bit of a different effect. A few less items. If I do vertices, a little bit different. I go back to faces. Choose jittered. Here you can change the velocity. One of these settings, and I can't tell you which, might be this one. Yeah, this one. Gives the starting velocity a random variation. No, that isn't the one I'm thinking of. Somewhere in here is a random option for when do your particles start. Like, you notice when I do the explosion on this, immediately everything is in action, isn't it? If I could find the right one, then you would see parts of it break apart, but not everything at once. Does that make sense? When it would start, the start time is random for each piece. Since I have no memory, let's see. Blender start time for each particle stream. Emission start time. I guess that makes sense. I wonder where that's at though. Let me look for emission start time. Emitter geometry random. Let's try 0.5. No. I don't see it. No matter what, each one lives to 300 with the way that's set up there. With the randomness, let me try to change that to 1, see if I get any kind of different look. Okay. 0.01. Nah, that isn't it either. Does that make sense on the explosion? Now I'm gonna delete that particle system, and I'll do a space quick. It's quick smoke. Now there's nothing really to see there, but I wanted to show it's not a particle system, is it? If I choose quick fluid, I don't think that's. Is that a particle system? No. See how it doesn't have a particle system with it?
Yeah.
So not everything's a particle system. I'm gonna do a file new, and we're gonna create snow. I don't think we looked at snow, did we? It's a particle system, and I'm gonna need help with the settings. So I'll have to flip over here in a minute and grab the settings. I'll delete the cube, and I want to drop on a. Let's see. I'll do Shift A, drop on a plane. Now I want to do a view camera, and then I want to move this plane. Well, actually, I'll scale it first. I'm gonna move it up, and I'm trying to move it up to the point where I don't see it on my camera. So I move it up there. Now, if I have the plane selected, I want to go into edit mode. So I do a tab, and I'll do W for subdivide. Throw a bunch of vertices on there. Go back out, and I can drop a particle system on it. So come here, click New, and now if you do Alt A, you'll see particles flying down. And this is just a general particle system, so it reacts differently than some of the other ones we looked at. But that's going to be our snow falling down like that. Blender render. Yeah, mine's Blender render. He said delete the camera too, didn't he? Or sun? Sun, I think it was. Okay, so we'll go with my particles 50 to 200. Scene properties is this one with I don't know what that visor. Put this one right here. Ball with a cylinder. And we're going to be changing gravity, which is negative 9.81, which is normal, but that's what makes it fall so fast. I expect if I change it to 0 and did an Alt A, the particles, I didn't expect that. I thought they'd just sit there. Interesting. Of course, I don't know enough about science. Let's see what he says. Said that. I think he sets it twice because he didn't quite get it right. Okay, so gravity -1. Now I noticed that there's gravity for the x and y. So if you're trying to achieve some kind of effect where it's flying to the side or so forth, you can also play with the x's and y's. So gravity doesn't have to be up and down in Blender. You'll notice on his they're bouncing up a little bit. Reason why is because they're bouncing out of here, but the gravity is then forcing them down. That's why you see them come up a little bit. And you do that. So we got our normal under emitter geometry. Which was that under emitter? Oh, was it our? Okay, yeah. 0. I think it still bounces up a little bit, but not as bad. Maybe not at all. Not that it really matters for an animation because your camera isn't up there anyway. That's why you throw the plane up above where the camera is, so the animation will capture the plane up there. And then they delete. Is the lifetime of them 200? Okay. Oh, this normal helps determine where things are going to come out of, whether they're going to come out of the top or out of the bottom, type of deal, or maybe nowhere. There's some kind of keystroke to see where your normals are pointing in Blender. Where are normals pointing? Let me show normals in Blender. In mesh display normals. Properties. Okay, so in oh, try it again. In mesh, show normals. Well, next in property sidebar, go to mesh display normals. Mesh display. Huh, I don't see that. Mesh. Let's see if this gives it to me. Display. Normals in Blender. Doesn't matter so much for what I'm showing you here, but let's just sidebar can view. Next in properties, go to mesh display normal, select face. When was this? 2013. Doesn't mean it's still there. Do you see that mesh display normals on yours? Oh well, I gave it up. It's not too exciting. All you'll see is little arrows indicating which way it's going. Like, remember how sometimes the hair would grow inside the cube and so forth? You can control where your particles are going. And normals helps you figure out where they're headed. Can't believe that isn't here, though. Control in while in edit mode. There's a definite outside. I'm not sure if you'd see it outside. Let me go to blend, edit mode, Control N, mesh. Set normals from faces, clear, flip normals. See, this is if it's going in the wrong direction. You know, like if it's going up, you can flip it and it goes down. If it's going inside your cube, like your hair is growing inside your cube, you can have it flipped and grow on outside. There's some way to view that. But, oh well. So 0.2 for the randomness. Now I've done this before, and I'm not sure if my eyes are good enough to see. Are they going side to side, or are they? Okay, that's what it's supposed to do. Okay, so grab this up in the upper right hand corner, these three or four lines, split that, and it says to set this to rendered. Okay. Now, if you're further along in your animation, even though they look like little yellow squares on your display here, this is the way the animation comes out. And you can rotate this even. Take a look at it. It's not great, is it? For snow. And he'll have us change some settings down here to get the snow to look better. You click the then choose rendered here. So we'll go to our materials right here. So you do new, go from surface to halo. And you can see what it looks like. Here's surface coming out of here, and here's the halo effect. You see what it looks like. Size is 0.1. So come down here, change that to 0.1. That's interesting. Mine doesn't look too bad. But he says there's still some big ones in here. .05 for size. Again, if you go to an Alt-A, you'll see these items over here really do not change too much. Kind of look like that square. But then they've redone this, and you can go along your timeline and see what it looks like in different places. What he's doing here is, if you start out right over here, it's not snowing at all, is it? So if you're trying to create an animation where it's already snowing and you want to go to a different frame to start it, and he says go to 100. So if I click down here and put 100 in, this is where the snow is already falling. And you do an S for start. And I think it's 200 he chooses. Oh, 110. Okay, so I'll change this to 110. And I'll do my S again for start. Your mouse has to be down here in this timeline. Can't be up here. And let's see where he goes to. Okay, so you come down here, type in 210, and then do your E for end, like that. Go to the camera. Now this is different than what he says in the video, so we'll change this slightly. So if you come down here to output, and do you have a H anything? 264? You don't, do you? See if I can remember what I said to get it to work. I think I chose FF MPEG video. These are codecs that you have installed. This is the headache of working with video. If you don't have the appropriate codec installed, you can't put it in that form. But that, I believe, worked. Coding. The codec will change to MPG4 DivX. Bitrate 2000. Where's that at? Encoding. Trying to remember which one I said. think I chose medium. I left it as medium quality. So that it will wait forever. I'm not gonna change that. Mine's I think all of ours set to TMP. Um, so up here you have an animation button, and if you look over in the window there, you see, boy, that's going along fast. You see it coming down. Okay, so it finished, didn't it? Okay, so now if I go to normally you click down the bottom right hand corner, but that usually shuts off the Snagit. So I can't use my bottom right hand corner. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to my TMP. Well, that's no good. MKV file. What in the world did I choose? I'm going to sort it by details. Make sure I'm grabbing the right one. 1023. It created MKV. I didn't choose MKV. I did this at home and I actually got an MP4. I'm going to choose AVI JPEG. Hmm. Yeah, that has encoding. Maybe I left it as H. I don't remember the DivX at home. Maybe I left it as H.264. Let me animate it again. Still MKV. Here's a FFmpeg video codec #1. I don't think I had that at home. If this doesn't give it to us, we'll give it up. You ever hear that video format? Never heard of MKV. What is a MKV file? MKV container files are designed to be feature-proof, meaning that files would not become outdated. Matroska. Developers. I think I tried the site, Matroska. Video. MPG4 here. Codec, I'll set it to H.264. FFmpeg, MP4, and H.264. Let's see if that is any better. Probably neither one of these old enough to even know why that new format's even necessary. Here it is, MP4. It's interesting. It appeared that way, didn't it? Let me play it again. Okay, I think it was just... Yeah, it sure did that when the first time I ran it. Now, if you look at that right there versus one of these first ones,
No, I just can't play it.
how bizarre. But anyway, that's how you create an MP4 file, which then you could upload to YouTube or whatever type of deal. So any questions on creating that MP4? Obviously, I had to relearn it each time because I can't remember what these settings should be. But there is a particular way. Now, video codecs do change over time. So as you get a new computer, it may not support the older codecs, the older video formats. And that's what they're referring to with that being a container. It isn't tied like to a specific format. But did you notice when I played it, the quality of it? Didn't look as good as MP4, did it? So, which I'm surprised. Since they say it's a kind of newer technology. In this same folder here, we've got a lot of PNG files. I don't think any from today, but maybe I'm wrong. These are from before. A few extra large icons, as large as they can be. know what this was. City being generated or something. If I choose the appropriate settings on this, select all. Where's select all? There. And delete that. Now, if I come over here and I do set the appropriate settings here, and I don't know if I can do that or not, but I'll try. I have to fumble around with it to get it where I want. I'll choose AVI JPEG, like that. I think that's the one. Now, if I do the animation, you see our picture changing like this. Now, if I come over to that window, I still didn't do it. How did I get it? AVI RAW. Maybe I just need changes to file format JPEG. There it is. AVI JPEG, yes. Or RAW, whatever I had selected. You see I got these images here, don't I? So you got this right here. Now these show a sequence of events that happens. What we're going to be doing, just so we can get some experience playing with it, is by next time I'll have the software installed on these PCs. I might have you go into a sprite sheet editor, and we'll take these images in there and we'll create a sprite sheet out of them. And then you can take that sprite sheet and you can take it into Unity, and you can create animations out of it. So if you wanted to have a game where you had the snow in the background, you can have your animation where it's coming down. Now it won't be as good a quality as like a video that you're sitting there playing, but that's what a sprite sheet is basically a little video where you're just doing frame by frame, isn't it? So now you don't have to actually even do snow. You can do a lot of different effects, where you're having a ball bounce or something like that. Part of that to get it to look like you want. Let's see, 3D view. Part of it is to play with this, play with the world here. So there's different options you can do here. Paper sky, blend sky, real sky. You can choose the color. See how that has that background? Though obviously purple wouldn't be the appropriate one. Zenith color, ambient color. Mist. It's at mist. I thought there was even a place you could put an image. But maybe I have to go over the textures to do that after you have done that. What I haven't had a chance to play with yet, it used to be that True Pink was also transparent, and I'm not sure if Unity honors that or not. For example, on Paint.net, and every game package had this. Not that I know what True Pink is. It's been so long. 7/255. I think it must have been 255, not 755. But 255, 255. If you had it set for that, and that's your background, it would treat that as your transparency, so it'd get rid of it. I haven't played with Unity to see if you can set a different color to get rid of. Because otherwise it was kind of a pain to try to get everything in the exact format, right? Not everything supports transparencies. PNG does, but not every other image file. So that's how you got around it. Now, if you had it one pixel off, like that was 256 or 254, I guess, that was not True Pink, and it wouldn't get rid of those pixels. But I'll play with that because over here in Blender, is that a very pretty background? No. So what you'd really like is you'd like to have the mountains in the background, right, with the snow coming down. Now that'd be the perfect way. See, I don't know if it's 250, 255, 0, 255. It's horrendous, isn't it? But again, if your game picks off those pink pixels and treats them as transparency, then it'll look great. You still have your snow coming down. I don't know why they chose that pink, but just for fun. Is True Pink 255, 0, 255 supported by Unity? I don't know. I have to look, I guess. Well, what I want you to do in remaining time is to take your snow animation and enhance it. Put like a snowman in there. Put a house type of deal. Create a little mini house, and then render it and upload the MP4 file.